Welcome once again to Vicious Chats. I am Tim Vicious. With me today, he is a contributor to the Main Event Wrestling Network. Like yours truly, he's hands down probably one of the better bloggers I've seen out there, and I'm not just saying that to blow smoke up his ass. Alejandro, the Great Brown Hope. Dude, how the hell are you, man?
Well, they say grown in California. I'm brown in California. It's the Great Brown Hope, baby. Doing great, man. Doing great.
That's good to know. It's good to know. Now, for those that can see that are watching the video on this, you see you're straight up Clippers fan. I'm going to tell you right now. I got to tell you this right now, and this may break your heart a little. My son, he's a huge basketball junkie. His favorite's the Lakers.
That's okay. Hear it all the time. I was just hoping that you weren't going to say he's a James Harden fan, because then I was like, yeah, I don't like him already.
No. He straight up said, he said straight up, he sucks now that he's on Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Brooklyn, Philadelphia, that guy's just been canned ass. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a Philly boy, so I paid attention to the Sixers vicariously. I mean, basketball wasn't more so my thing; it was more so like baseball and pro wrestling. But I always kind of just like, oh, hey, Sixers are good, cool.
Yeah,
Sixers are doing good, cool. When they suck, it's like any other Philadelphia fan. Well, there's always next season.
Yeah, no. I hear that. I only ever had time for basketball and Clippers. I mean, basketball and wrestling. So those were my only two focuses. So I would follow the Clippers a lot, but it was always WWE Mondays, Fridays, weekends, and then going to the VHS store to rent tapes for the pay-per-views we didn't get to pay for. So there wasn't time for basketball, So, and there was never an off season for wrestling, and there still isn't. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing about wrestling that sets it apart completely different. And I think that's one of the cooler things, because you'll hear like these athletes, and you hear like athletes say, oh, well, those wrestling guys, they do that whole fake stuff, but try stepping foot and try doing our stuff. Oh, well, you're working like 6 months out of the season, out of the year.
Yeah.
And y'all get to take days off. Try going on that kind of grind.
A lot of times their travel expenses are covered too. So it's not like the WWE guys. They got to get their own rentals. They got to book their own flights, their own rooms. I mean, obviously the superstars are going to get hooked up, but they're still the bottom level guys. They still got to grind. They still got to get, like you've seen have you seen those road trip shows or like those podcasts where they talk about their road trips? Like they had to get together and get the money together. You can't just rent a car on the fly. Like none of them were rich. So there's that too. That's an extra grind, having to go find a gym while you're traveling, where you're not just welcomed in like royalty. Not everybody knows who you are, but if you walk into the building with a team like the Lakers or a well-known team everywhere, you walk in with the whole team, everybody's getting in for free. So it's not the same case in wrestling. There's a lot of things that separate it, and it might be scripted, but so is basketball. Basketball is very, very scripted. Otherwise, Clippers would have won the championship in 2006, 2007.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because I was talking to my son a little bit before we started recording. He was he's over at his mom's. I was asking him, so do you got a game tonight? He was like, yeah, it's the Bulls and Pistons, so you already know on how this is going to go down. So, because he showed me the Pistons stats for this year, and good God almighty. Have you seen their stats?
To the Pistons, so,
They got
wrestling's been busy, so
they got like 6 or 8 wins this season, I think. Last I saw.
Hot damn.
Yeah. If I was there, I just like, oh my God, ooh, yeah.
That is bad.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So let me ask you. I know my recruitment story. How'd you get hooked up in the Main Event Network?
I knew them back then, back in like the old Twitter days when I was the original, the Great Brown Hope, and then took a little break, and then now this is like the sequel, so to speak. But I used to write blogs back then for a different blog, and we linked up just through Twitter. Like, hey, you guys talk about wrestling, I talk about wrestling. We would all follow each other. I ended up following the rest of them that were involved at the time. Some still are. And I saw they were just getting people together for stuff, and I was like, huh, okay. And I saw there was all these video creators and people that had podcasts, so they had their own thing going on already. And I was like, well, they don't have anybody on the blogs. Maybe, you know, on my free time, I mean, I already talk wrestling all fucking day, dude. So it's like now it's a thing where we all get to talk about wrestling together. It's like, hey, if you guys need somebody to write about it, I am more than happy to do so. And they just said, all right, cool, shoot us a sample, shot them a sample, and then that was it. The rest was history.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I mean, mine's is like very kind of lame and timid compared to yours. It's their feed popped up on my timeline on Twitter one day out of the blue saying, hey, if there's any podcasters out there looking to join, hit us up. And this was before I started doing this. I was like, I don't have a podcast, but I got a YouTube. And then they said, hit us up in the DMs. Let's talk. And then after like a day or two of talking, they're like, yeah, come on board.
Nice. Hell yeah. Yeah, I see all kinds of people getting on board, all kinds of wrestling going around.
Yeah, we're growing,
great,
man.
Dude. It's great, man.
Yeah,
all kinds of different content. I got Green Circle, y'all. I was like, hey, you should hit them up. I was like, I know you write stuff. You know, I wouldn't say he was a comedian because he is a comedian. Shout out at Green Circle, y'all. So I told him, hey, hit him up. We need more bloggers. So, you know, he'll send in some blogs. His wife sends in some drawings from time to time as well. So a little bit of extra content, a little bit of, you know, here and there. And we talk trading cards all the time. Now you get the trading card community involved in a sense, some way, somehow. So you can bring all the wrestling fans together.
Yeah, and that's great because, you know, I'm kind of the trading card community. I think that's really cool to see. You know, I mean, I was been kind of in and out of the figure collecting one for a while. It's more so just because I've ran out of real estate.
No, I hear that.
I ran out of real estate, but the trading card one, you know, that is a huge community. I definitely dig. And I give you credit, man. You know, you're a big writer. You do a lot of good writing work. And I'm speaking from a guy, I'm dyslexic. So I naturally have a hard time reading certain things. But your stuff, I don't know what it is. It's like it's real easy to just sit down and read, like, you know?
It's like we're having a conversation.
Yeah, legitimately, it's like that. So what goes into like your creative process on how you do that? I mean, I can only imagine. I know from my experience doing the video and the podcast and stuff how mine goes, but how does it go from a writing end? Because that's a whole different medium.
I just pay attention to what's going on and what people aren't talking about. And that kind of, when you see all the other angles, the smaller angles and stuff like that, people that don't get that kind of shine, you're like, people aren't talking about these people. Maybe let me see if I can do a little bit more digging, see what I can find out, see what content I haven't seen, see what I can learn about this person. And in the process, it's like I'm getting ready to give you a call, so to speak, like, hey man, did you see Raw? Let's talk about this guy. Let's talk about this angle. That's literally what it is. And it turns into an essay, and an essay turns into a column, and then the column turns into a story.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You say easy. With me, that's a whole other issue. I got a big issue where it's like trying to separate that barrier from what's in my head to putting in the pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you're a performer. You know what I'm saying? I've seen.
Yeah.
You. And
well,
that's where I came from too. I actually used to do rap way back in the day for my neighborhood, and I actually did a couple shows, opened up a couple shows for people like, you may remember, Spice One, Rapping Forte, RBL Posse, Spice One. I already said Spice One. What's his name? Planet Asia as well. There were a couple other cats, so that also goes into the process. Like a story is a song. A song is a story. So if I could write a song about somebody, I could write a story about somebody easy. I don't have to rhyme anymore, or I don't have to put together a sing-song form structure. And I was just
all right. And yeah, you know, that goes into the next thing I was going to ask you on is about with your blogging, man. You were doing it. I can't remember the cat's name. The one rapper you did one on a little while back. You know, that's who. I couldn't remember his name. Those spacing out on. Man, I give you credit on that. That, you know, I know firsthand. Anytime I'm going to go and talk about something, I do homework to look up info on it. That kind of homework you had to do to look him up. That had to be something like how do you go about looking up that kind of info? Because obviously, talking about his early childhood, that's not necessarily something that's easy to dig up.
Well, I didn't actually I didn't have to do a lot of digging because he was somebody I already followed for a long time since I was a kid. So I followed the group and everybody. So putting the story together wasn't really that difficult. It was more of putting it in a structure where it was easy for people to see what led to what built up to what we're going towards in the end. So you got to give it little details, how it started, how it's going, and how it went.
All right. So obviously, content creators, we always, we can always be our own worst critics. There ever any time after you write something and it's published, you're like, I should have talked about this instead of that.
Yeah.
You ever get those kind of feelings where you want to kick yourself in the ass on that?
Well, no, not really. But what I'll do is I'll say, oh, I could have said this, I could have said that, and I'll make a note and then just republish it in a few months and throw it in. So now, if it becomes more consistent, where you have a fan base that's waiting for it, you know what I mean? It's like instead of being like, oh damn, like now I'm not gonna drop nothing for 2 weeks. For the next 2 weeks, I could re-release 2 or 3 of them. Throw in some video links. I just started adding video links. I didn't add it before because I would just throw in the screenshots of good enough material. But now a lot of footage is really hard to find. Like the one I'm doing on Joaquin Wild, I couldn't find any good footage of him in AAA. But the good footage I found, he's fighting Sami Zayn when he was El Generico. So they're both young as hell.
In the spirit of kayfabe, you got to remember, El Generico passed away in Tijuana taking care of orphans.
This guy, but yeah,
he took. Rest in peace, El Generico.
He'll be back. Everyone gets resurrected. The Undertaker can bring back anybody. So
he's dead. But
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and so I could add extra things like that in the future, and then just do a re-release, like a remastered version, like update the playlist at the bottom of the page, stuff like that. So there's always room to grow. So it's and then because it's we can do whatever we want on it. There's really no way of doing it wrong. You know what I mean?
All right, that's cool. Because I know firsthand doing the videos, after I get done recording and I'm in the middle of post, putting all the stuff in for YouTube, I'll just be like, damn it, I meant to talk about this or that, and it's like, well, I already did like 30 or 40 minutes of recording. I can't go back and do that. So, but yeah, I give you credit on that. You do really great work with that. So as far as on the wrestling talk, man, I got to ask you, we're coming off of WrestleMania. How big of a high are you running off of from it?
Man, all the good guys won. Why? I don't get it. we couldn't even get the no yeet victory. Like that would have sufficed for Roman losing the belt, because then somebody would have won from the bloodline. But when he won on Saturday, I don't know. It changed the course of everything, because it really felt like they weren't going to win on Saturday.
I don't know. I thought the storytelling for the main event on Saturday, I thought that was great, especially like the cinematics part on it, where after they did the pin, you just see Cody sitting in the dead smack in the middle of the ring, the same expression on his face that he had at 39, like from the year before, like, oh man, I lost. And you just see Rock and Roman in the background, like, yeah, we won. Now what, bitches? Like that. And it's just like, yeah, that's there you go. That's leading into night 2. Perfect.
Yeah. But did Rocky even give Mama Rhodes the belt?
No, he didn't, which honestly, and I try not to do like the armchair quarterback fantasy book stuff too much, but all I could think is, man, if he did and he just like go to give it to her and then she just wham, slapped the taste out of his mouth, that would have sold it for me. Like, yeah. Especially given the stories that you hear that Cody was saying. Now listen, my mom beat up an undercover cop at a Willie Nelson concert. You think she's afraid of you?
Yeah, that's true. But it would have been fun to see. He just hands it to her and she just takes it.
Yeah, I thought that would have been great. But aside from that, man, maybe it's because I'm a Philly boy myself. I thought they did great with this year, as far as with it being, especially with it being in Philadelphia. And I thought And I said this on I said this on rants this past week. I think this goes up there as probably like one of my more favorite ones because 19's always been my favorite, hands down. But this is kind of like neck and neck now with it. Like, oh man, how you feeling with like as far as in like how do you feel on it as far as
Oh no, I liked it. I mean, I didn't get the results I wanted because I mean, on the fan side, I was like, I wanted Jimmy to win and whatever. But no, it was a great show. It was really good. It was well put together. I mean, it was WrestleMania 40. It's the beginning of a new era. They gotta go in big. So all the big stars have to go in with the most credibility possible. Otherwise, it might not be the same. So
yeah?
they gotta ride the high while they have it, which they had it on Monday with Cody, and we'll see how long it lasts. I hope it lasts a while.
I believe as a lot of the people have been saying on the interwebs, it's like the new Renaissance era.
Hmm.
I think is on how some of the fans are dubbing this now because especially now with like you're seeing creative being shown a whole different way. Like it's PG, but it's like an edgy kind of PG.
Right.
You know, you're seeing guys that you're seeing stories that are actually compelling.
Right.
You're seeing it's not like that. I hate trying to get the right way to say this. You see, instead of people constantly trying to say, "Oh, it's sports entertainment," no, they're actually saying pro wrestling.
Right.
So let me ask you: you
There's a
see a
difference.
difference between pro wrestling and sports entertainment?
It's all pro wrestling. Even if it is sports entertainment, it's still pro wrestling. They
Yeah,
still they
I
still
mean,
have to learn the basics. They still have to do the work. And they still have to learn to grapple at least. They have to know the basics.
yeah, I mean, I did. I did backyard feds from the time I was 12 until I was 27.
Mhm.
So, and I remember my last match I was all sorts of mad at myself on it because I was like, man, I feel like I can go, but I can't. I got to stop. And I was all sorts of mad and I blasted everyone that was trying to say sports entertainment just because I was angry.
Mhm.
But, it's honestly, I don't see a difference. It's the same thing, just, you know, the difference between saying catch up or cats up,
Yeah,
basically.
it's just pizzazz.
Yeah.
Sports entertainment adds pizzazz to the title because if you tell somebody, let's go watch some pro wrestling, like, what's that? You know, you tell them we're going to watch some sports entertainment. Oh, you mean WWE? It's fine. Still pro wrestling. So
Yeah.
that's all
And
that matters.
that, and speaking of wrestling, we're coming off of AEW with the whole showing the all in camera footage. How did you take to it?
I just thought it was really funny. I didn't know if he was being serious or if he was just doing it for the rating spike, which he got what he wanted, so he's bragging about
Which,
it.
which honestly, I'm kind of questioning because now you're basically saying you got a rating spike from a guy from showing footage of a guy who no longer works for you.
From two guys that no longer work.
Yeah, and there's just so many things I can pigeonhole and just point out flaws on, and I'm trying to make this be a small little positive corner of the internet, and it's like I'm
It's getting
trying.
harder and harder. It's
Yeah,
getting harder and
and
harder.
I hate to say this, but it feels almost WCW 2000 ish.
Oh man,
It's
those are
yeah,
some dark times.
yeah. It was the best of times, the worst of times, and man, was that the worst of times.
And then it got
So
worse.
yeah,
It
yeah,
always gets worse. No matter
yeah.
what, it always gets
How's
worse.
that old saying go? It always gets worse before it gets better.
I think it always gets worse before it gets worse.
Yeah, yeah, and just yeah, I can't. I just I'm trying to think of the right thing to say for it, but I can't. That I don't see any way to justify the explanation of showing the footage because
And,
even if you're
and
trying
why
to make an
now?
argument, even if you're trying to make an argument saying, "Oh, we're going to use it to help bring back Jack Perry," you couldn't. So you need to do that for it,
Yeah.
really?
And what do you need to, and why do you need to bring it back for too?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been asking, what's the payoff? What's the
Mhm.
payoff? Because that's always the big thing I always look at with wrestling. I don't know about you, but the big thing I always look at, when I'm watching and I'm trying to picture in my head where a story goes, I go to think, okay, this is where it's starting. What's the payoff? Do you
Yeah.
ever pick when you go to do your writing for it? You ever go to try and see where the payoff for it would go?
Yeah. I try to look at the main ways it could go and the ways it won't go, which makes it easier to talk about. And then that way, makes it easier for you to want to sit and watch. And then once they stay consistent, where they find ways of keeping the people involved relevant, even if it's backstage together or something. If they keep if they keep if they keep them for you, yeah, sorry, my head just started to hurt. It's hot out here. If they keep them available for you to see, so you see them all the time consistently, you'll know who they are. You'll remember them. You'll remember why they're doing things. Like I think for what was it, 3 weeks, they just had Legado together with Electra, Angel, and Alberto on TV in a restaurant, just hanging out. But they showed them every single week, so you knew they were around. You knew something was going to happen, and it was bound to happen sooner or later. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. And consistency. You need solid consistency
mhm.
along with basic storytelling, not just, well, we're putting them on TV. Okay, well, why?
Yeah. Yeah, because other times it would job them for what 30 seconds and that was it. Now instead of jobbing 2, 3 guys out for 30 seconds, now you get to
We getting
now you
running?
get to no. He's just tripping because one of his cats got out, but he'll get over it. No, because now instead of getting them squashed on TV, you can have them on TV, you know,
Yeah,
and whatever light they want to be in. So in this case, they're just hanging around talking about each other for 2 minutes instead of you're gonna get squashed this week. Next week you're gonna get squashed, as they would with 3MB. 1 week Heath Slater got squashed. Next week Drew McIntyre, but you didn't know why they were together. You had no idea why they were doing things together, why they became a band until they started showing their promos. So once it became consistent promos every single week, people liked 3MB. They were 3MB were the biggest thing in wrestling memes before anything became a wrestling meme.
yeah.
Remember that?
And yeah, and when they went over and when they would do the UK tours, they weren't
Union
even
Jack.
3. Yeah, they were the Union Jack.
Yep.
And they were over. They were
They
over
were.
like Rover.
I remember there was one because it was the 101 reasons to like 3MB, and they would always have a different one. I remember one of them was Jinder's the fun guy, and then there was one meme where remember they called out the Shield because
Yeah.
they wanted to be the dominant Oh no, they ain't called out the Shield. The Shield came to beat up Triple H. No. 3MB came to beat up Triple H, and then the Shield came out, and 3MB thought, oh, the six of us are gonna beat up Triple H, but instead the Shield beat up 3MB. And then the following week, that's when 3MB called out the Shield, and they got whooped again. And then there was a time backstage where 3MB was just talking shit. Oh, we're gonna catch him slipping. We're gonna get him this time. And Roman and Heath Slater just have a stare down. And then Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose beat up Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal in the background. And the meme was Heath and Roman staring at each other when worlds collide. And at the bottom, it had Rock and Stone Cold. And under that, it had Andre and Hogan. You only get greatness once in a generation. So,
Yes. Yes.
but imagine if that were Roman and Drew McIntyre, or Seth and Drew McIntyre in that picture before, and then it comes to today. That would have been like, whoa, look at that.
That would have been full circle right there if they could have.
And
If we would
that's
have
what I'm
got
talk
that.
about the Jinder story. There was always history with Seth and Jinder since FCW, NXT, little things like that. And I went in deep
And
dive into,
that goes right to what I was just about to ask you on next, man. Because, dude, I don't think I've seen anyone that's as big of a gender fan as, like, other than me, next compared to you. Because, you know, people say, gender was the whole experiment because the making deals with the India for TV stations and all that jazz. Dude,
yeah.
I looked at it as, okay, even if he was, that was also a blessing in disguise because this is where I'm gonna go and get a little businessy on here for a minute. At that time, they needed new champions. So,
Mhm.
heaven forbid, they built him very much so in the same way they did JBL.
They did exactly.
And yeah, and for those like 6 months he was champ, he may not have had a whole lot of matches and he may not have defended regularly, but man, he was consistent and he was a
Yeah.
damn good heel doing it.
And he generated a lot of shit talking too. So people on the internet were mad he was champion, but everybody was talking about him.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. Do you remember when he was feuding with Nakamura and he was doing and he made the Mr. Miyagi jokes?
I can't say I remember that. Was
Yeah,
that during? Was that before or during COVID?
That was way before, back when he was world champ.
Okay, then it probably slipped my mind. It's probably an episode of Raw I missed.
No, it was SmackDown. He was world champ on SmackDown. He was feuding with Nakamura, and it was leading into their title match at Hell in a Cell. He wound up calling him Mr. Miyagi from like the Karate Kid,
Wait,
and
wasn't this for the U.S. title?
no, he had that for just one night and dropped it to Jeff the next night.
Okay. I'm trying to remember too, because now I'm confused. I could have sworn he held it twice.
No, he just had the world title once.
Yeah, the world title once, and then the United States Championship twice.
Was he a two-time? I could have sworn he was one time.
No, 2 times. I think he was 2 times. I'm not sure. I'm confused now.
And you say we're confusing each other.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, folks.
No. The weather out here just got stupid hot. It's about, I think today it hit 89, but it was just 76. What was it? Monday, Tuesday. It just hit up to the 80s already. So
it was.
There's no spring here. There's no
opposite.
spring here.
Complete opposite here. It was all cloudy and rain all day, and now the temps dropped to just the upper 40s. That's typical PA. Typical PA weather. You can tell what time of day it is by how great the sky looks.
Nice. Hell yeah, that sounds a lot better. Here, the sun's always out. You can't even go outside and have a drag. Like, the sun's all up in your face. Like, damn, chill. I stepped outside to chill, not to, get even more worked up.
Yeah.
That's California, man.
It's all good. It's all good. So what part of Cali you in?
Right now, Los Angeles, but more towards the upper area of Los Angeles, like in the valley, a little bit closer to the desert in Van Nuys.
All right, cool. So yeah, what I was saying about with the whole gender thing, he generated massive heat. Like people were trying to say like he was being racist and uncalled for because of Miyagi comments, and all I could think is these same people that are saying that are also making jokes about gender working at like a 7-Eleven.
Yep.
Really?
They made fun of his turban?
And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I get gender. He reminded me of Iron Sheik on Raw when he did that promo where he got people to boo over the U.S. anthem in Punjabi.
That was beautiful,
dude. I figured I popped for that. How about you?
That was the reason I had to write that column. I had to do it because I had already planned on doing something for him because of the Muhammad Hassan article I had written. So I was like, okay, I got to do one for gender because it's a similar story. But once that happened, I was like, I got to do it. I got to do it. And I was also going to say something. I was going to make a top 5 for not a top 5, 5 at 5 for Rollins' title. And I was going to put Jinder Mahal in that list. So that was when people were talking about like, oh, watch it be Jinder Mahal. That's the former champion that's coming back. Remember?
Yeah.
Everybody was talking mad shit about for no reason. Jinder Mahal was just minding his own business, drinking his tea, and they're like, "Oh, watch it be Jinder Mahal." LOL. It's gonna be Jinder. LOL. Like, and then it happened, and everybody was mad. Like, you guys should be happy you called it. Like, come on. And he is a former world champion. So
and the only man to be world champ and 24/7 champ. So he put legitimacy to that 24/7 title.
That's right. So. And he had a world title before Cody Rhodes, so
Well, there you go. So he finished his story. He finished his story before Cody.
Oh yeah, before even writing a story was a thing. So Cody was just what was he doing during that time? He was with Goldust, I think, right? But he was Cody Rhodes.
When Jinder was world champ,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, when Jinder was world champ, yeah, because
that was right when they first reintroduced the brand split.
Okay, right before Wyatt's and Shield. No, after Wyatt's and Shield, right?
Yeah.
Okay. then yeah, it was definitely that.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm not good on years, but I definitely can pinpoint feuds. You give me a rough idea for a
Same.
timeline because that was right when the brand split and they started specifically saying SmackDown was known as SmackDown Live because they started going back to it being live.
That's right. I remember that now. Damn,
Yeah.
hit me with some knowledge I forgot. There's just so much wrestling now, dude. And then
Yeah.
I'm watching everybody's content, and it lights bulbs for me too. Like, oh, let's talk about this next. And then
It's
you
like what The
forget the
Rock.
little things. You forget
It's
some of the
like
little
what The
things.
Rock said. Wrestling is cool again.
Oh yeah,
And
hell
for
yeah.
us wrestling fans, we always sit there and like, nah, dude, it's always cool. But like, no, it's cool in the sense of like, it's actually like pop culture. Pop culture actually digs it again. It's not like, oh, you're a wrestling fan? Ew, get away. No, it's
Yeah.
like, no, you're like, oh, you like wrestling? Cool. Hey, what show you watch? Are you going to one
And then
sometime soon? Yeah.
remember a couple of weeks ago, adult stars were tweeting about it too, and then wrestlers were hanging out with adult stars. That's another industry there. So you
Yeah.
know, if they're being shown love there, they're gonna get extra people in the seats, or they're gonna get extra endorsements. You know, so there's it opens a lot of doors, especially with Logan Paul. People don't want to admit it, but he's the one that cracked that door open. At least as of late. When did
Yeah.
it start? Like a year and a half ago. That's when they kind of started loosening their grip on sponsorships and being more open to having content creators or having people from YouTube or influencers, as opposed to TV stars. Because you don't see as many TV stars anymore.
Yeah. You don't see somebody from like a show from a show like Ghosts or something else going and saying, "Hey, at ringside is this person from CBS's such and such show." No, now you see,
Yeah.
hey, you see YouTube sensation, insert name here.
Yeah, and then that person's gonna share it with their slew of fans who may have never seen wrestling before. And if they got a million followers, all it takes is 1,000. That's it.
Yeah, and and I'm not always. I've said it a million times, and I'm probably going to say it a million more. I'm not a fan of Logan Paul, but damn it, I am smart enough to know he brings in eyeballs, and he helps bring in eyeballs to the business. So,
Yeah,
it goes to an old thing Papa Vicious taught me when I was a kid. You got it. Don't be afraid to work with people you don't like.
It's good business sometimes.
Yeah, you're gonna have to work with people you don't like. You might as well learn to just buck up and deal with it because you may not like them, but damn it, if they can bring in business, they bring in business.
I'm sure they're making a whole lot more money right now too. So,
oh god, yeah. There was a report. It was this past year's WrestleMania was up 78% from compared to last year.
Man,
yeah,
that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's almost a whole other $1 billion.
Yeah, and for those that may not have heard, that's billion with a B.
Mm-hmm.
So just have fun processing that.
Easy money for them. It's easy, and all they really have to do is give fans what they want, which is crazy. Except the fans don't want Logan Paul. I don't care for him, but as a wrestler, that's my dog.
Yeah, I mean, I give him credit where credit's due. He's a hell of a he can work the ring immensely. He works the ring great.
He's really helping the brand. He is. So
yeah,
there's a lot of extra eyes when he's there. So if he's been on more often, he becomes a consistent person. You're gonna see that slew of people keep coming back over and over and over. They're gonna buy Logan Paul shirts. They're gonna buy the Logan Paul hats, the Logan Paul gloves, the child-sized tights, everything.
Yeah, just stay away from Prime, folks. Trust me, that stuff tastes like
I've never had it. Never had it.
You're not missing much. Stick with Powerade Zero.
I like regular Powerade. Powerade Zero just tastes like sugar water.
I got family that's diabetic, so it's out of habit for me. So constantly just make sure watching sugar and carb intake. Plus, I'm hypoglycemic.
Okay.
So,
gotcha. It's all
man. Yeah, but yeah, man. That this hands down greatest time to ever be a wrestling fan because not just with WWE being at where it's at, independent wrestling as well, man. I mean, I know I don't talk a whole lot about indie wrestling, but I keep up to date with it. How about you?
I don't really keep much up to date with it, but there's a lot of variety. There's a lot, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of names coming from there. It's just like before, but now there's a whole lot more people. There's a whole lot more content to watch, even if they don't make it to the big time. So now you want to watch somebody else in a different company. You can either log on, watch it live for $20. Might be able to watch it live for free. Might be able to catch the show down the road for 15, $20. So, and just having it available and easy to get a hold of is what makes a difference now. Back then it was all hidden, or somebody would tell you about it. That's a wrestling fan that goes to the indie shows. Now it's all over the place. So.
Yeah, and not only that, man. Like I said, this is the best time to be a fan. At least in our lifetime, this is the best time because so much is easily available now compared to when we were kids, when it was like tape trading and like you had to get up at 3 a.m. to see this 1 hour pay-per-view that's only going to be shown one time and one time only.
Yeah.
It's like it's just this. It's great because now we could get video on demand. We got instant access to everything, and not only that, it's the whole style of wrestling. I don't know about you, but man, I'm loving the way wrestling and wrestlers present themselves. Not just their characters, but their in-ring work. I think it's evolved immensely compared to like when we were younger, compared to like in the 90s or 2000s or even 10 years ago in the 2010s.
No, it definitely has, and it comes with them not having to work 5, 6, 7 days a week anymore. Now with everybody taking turns during the week, one week this guy wrestles, one week he doesn't, but he's still on TV. Little things like that where they don't have to take bumps every single day. It's giving them more time to train, more time to rest, more time to stay flexible instead of being all tightened up or all gassed up on drugs. It's a different era. It's a completely different era, and they're looking out for the talent as much as they're looking out for the fans.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That folks, to quote The Rock, like I said, wrestling is cool again. And that's absolutely great to hear. You know?
Oh yeah, it's fucking
So
rad.
yeah, it is. It's the best. This is the best right here. Because when wrestling is great, when wrestling's at its best, man, it's at its best. And when it's at its worst, it's kind of like when you had the Muppets guest host Raw.
Yeah, but it's still pretty cool. The nostalgia is still there. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
you'll
mean,
always
don't
have
get
the
me wrong. The
nostalgia.
Muppets are cool and all, but just.
Mm. Well, I mean, who was it that was on there? Kermit, right? He got beat up by
They
somebody.
had Kermit. They had Beaker because Beaker in kayfabe is Sheamus's cousin.
That's right.
Gonzo got stretched by Jake Hager.
Damn.
And Miss Piggy wound up getting into a screaming match with Vicky Guerrero.
That I remember. See, that wasn't so bad. That was nostalgic. You get the Muppets just interacting with wrestlers. Now it's like, oh, you think both of those are fake? Watch this. Hold my beer.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's no hand in that puppet?
This is everyday life for us, folks.
Fantasy booking the Muppets. So
yeah, so now we got to start fantasy booking WrestleMania next year with Kermit winning the world title.
World heavyweight title.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
he cashes in.
Yeah, Kermit wins Money in the Bank, cashes in to win the world heavyweight title.
There it is. Everyone goes.
There you go.
Happy. Everyone goes home happy.
Send everyone home with a smile. So, dude, you got any new projects you're working on coming up? Any things to get people in? Something people should look at?
Well, I mean, there's going to be the conclusion of the Latino Heat Now story. I'm going to drop a new one, Latino Heat Then, which is going to be about the original LWO that wanted Rey Mysterio, but he wouldn't join because who knows what reason he didn't want to join for in reality. But now he runs it now because he wants to sell shirts. So we're just going to stick with that. So we need to bring some clarity to the group, bring some, put some shine on the real people that put it together, like Eddie Guerrero, Dandy. I believe Psychosis was there. Who else was in LWO?
La
Hector
Parca.
Garza, La Parca. I can't believe I'm forgetting these names right now. But just be able to give them the same kind of shine that I've been able to give Santos, Raul, Joaquin next. Then I got one for Hector and Angel as well, which will round out the other one. And then a couple 5F5s. I'll wrap up the Busy Bone story. And I'm probably starting a podcast soon. I'm gonna be getting together with this one dude who's training in wrestling. So that's a little something that's gonna be different for the community. We're gonna get an in-depth look at being a guy like us becoming a wrestler.
There you go, man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
I told him, I was like, you got to let me do your story. You got to let me be the one to do your story, bro. So that's coming pretty soon. And that should be it for the time being while we figure things out. What about yourself? What you got coming?
We're obviously this will be coming out in space at the time, because between life as well as scheduling to get other guests, episodes drop every other week for chats. But other than this, rants are always weekly, as well as the rants are always weekly on YouTube as well as podcasts, just like this is, folks. So if you're not watching this, check out the RSS feed. Show's always available, making sure, keeping up to date with the Main Event family, always letting them know, hey guys, if you need somebody to do a run in for a guest spot on something, let me know. I'll let you know what my days are. I'm always open to working with everyone. I just actually did a guest spot the other day with a buddy of mine. He does a show called Talks with Dorks.
I saw that.
That's going to be coming out. Yeah, that'll be coming out.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, other than that, also trying to work out, getting other guests lined up. And the next one I got coming up, she does content creating work. She does all these kind of different reels, stuff with Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all. The main purpose of this show, more than anything outside of wrestling, just introduce people to the idea of, hey, I know these cats got really cool stories. Check them out.
Oh yeah, that's tight. But you forgot about the karaoke party. You still doing that tomorrow? I mean, you need to plug the karaoke party.
Oh yeah, the Vicious karaoke party. Dude, I'm juggling like 10 or 20 chainsaws at a time. So every now and then, I may wind up slipping. But yeah, the karaoke party is always every Friday, 7 p.m. EST. So we always do that, and I'll put up my songs. Plus, I always start my show. Plus, I always started off doing a live song. So I go live on the Twitter and do a song, and that's actually a fun process because I'll spend like a week. Yeah. I'll spend an entire week listening to that song once or twice a day up until that time when I go live on it, just to make sure I get all my timing and my rhythm right.
Yeah. The little details, dude. That's what makes it solid. But I think I might be able to have a guest spot for you soon. I know a couple people that know this song pretty well, so I'm gonna tell them, hey, I want to get you guys on my dude's karaoke party. Let's do it.
That's awesome, man.
Saying? A little bit of extra content for your boy.
There you go. So folks, it's about that time where we go to wrap it up. Where's the best place people can find your work or find you out there on the socials?
Just on Twitter at The Great Brown Hope, at TGR8BRWNHOPE, and Main Event Network Wrestling. That's where my blogs can be found. Exclusive.
That's awesome, man. Dude, I got to thank you again for taking the time to come out here. I always appreciate when anyone ever takes the time out of their schedule to come on here. Always means a lot to me. I do appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Stay vicious. Thank you. I got to talk to legal, see if maybe I can make that into a shirt.
You should be able to. You should be fine. Just have the intern looking into it over at Main Event Network. Hit him up. Make him do some work. He wants those college credits.
Yeah, I got to talk to that intern. So, folks, this has been Vicious Chats. I'm Tim Vicious. Been the Great Brown Hope. Hope
The Brown
y'all have
Hope.
enjoyed this. Tune in next time.